Now, this ran across two blockchains, Hyperledger Besu and Canton Network. What are your plans for the future? Are you just going to keep these two? Are you going to build upon that?
We're definitely sticking to the two and adding to them. So we've announced Stellar that will come sometime in the first quarter or the first half of next year. We have also an inventory of a couple of other blockchains.
Real fast, I want to play some video clips from systemically important organizations, even considering the current market environment where risk asset prices, especially crypto, are suffering broadly right now. As of time of recording, the total cryptocurrency market cap is down about $33 billion, has broken below that $2 trillion threshold that we highlighted in previous videos as a last support before sellers overpower buyers. My predominant thesis behind that was because this is where the 50 EMA aligns. And so if sell pressure can pick up beneath the 50 EMA, we can see sellers overpower buyers from this previous base, close beneath the 50, then it's going to open up the door to start to liquidate all the over leveraged positions that sit beneath these lows, right? Possibly coming back down into last week's low at around 2.1 trillion. But nonetheless, even though that we are seeing this type of environment, digital assets across the board that we house in our portfolio are starting to become heavily discounted. And one of those assets that I'm paying very close attention to and how it reacts to lower level buy dark pools that we've been waiting for literally months now is Canton. All right, Canton, there was so much hype on Canton when price was trading back here in this like range from 15 to 17 cents. And we were one of the only communities highlighting to wait patiently for a discount, buying opportunity from lower level dark pools. I think we started talking about these levels back in like April of this year. And now we're starting to see the possibility of these levels come into fruition. And so obviously, of course, there's probably going to be some fear, uncertainty, and doubt that starts to surface, especially from people that talk crap about projects on the internet due to lack of price action on Twitter and whatnot. But I just want to play some perspectives from you all or for you all from these systemically important organizations. So two companies that we're going to be listening to today are representatives from the Dtcc and representatives from the Boston Consulting Group. So here we have Roy. I'm not going to butcher this dude's last name. He's a managing director at the Dtcc. And we also have Nadine Chakar. She is the digital asset lead at the Dtcc, if I'm not mistaken, or she plays some major role for digital assets at the Dtcc. And it's about a 2-minute clip. Listen to what they say here. And this just puts things into perspective as for what could potentially come down the pipelines in the future. Take a second here and listen.
That's right. So if I look at 18 to 24 months back, I think many of the board members and US senior management would conflate crypto and distributed ledger technology and tokenization. So I think that conflation was not helpful, I think, for the momentum of this. And I think now there is a clear distinction between the two. I think whether you decide to participate in the crypto trading ecosystem or not, I think that's a choice. But there is no confusion that this is quite a different use case, different technology, and has significant transformation potential. So I would say that is a very positive momentum. I would say there is broad consensus that led by the US and globally, there is a significant amount of policy clarity and reg momentum on this topic. There is maturity of the technology for really to be taken seriously as an institutional grade technology with all of the bells and whistles that you would expect of a core market infrastructure like data privacy, cybersecurity. So there is a acknowledgement that there has been a significant maturity of the technology. And I think Nadine and some of the use cases she's leading has been very helpful to change that perception. I think the part that is still, I think, early stages is really client adoption. And I think to drive client adoption, I think the industry together needs to make a stronger case on what is the value proposition for issuers, investors, corporate treasurers in adopting tokenization and digital assets, right? I think so the financial services industry, I think, needs to continue to do a good job in really articulating the value case for this. As I think we mentioned in our report, this is a fundamental shift in the market infrastructure. It's going to take a while. The legacy and the new market infrastructure will sort of coexist. But I think many are starting to appreciate that there are really two high-level reasons to do this. One is a significant amount of operational efficiency on how financial services work. And the second is there is a significant amount of financial resource efficiency. I think some of the work that Nadine is leading around collateral really go to the heart of it. There is a lot of locked financial resources suboptimally used across the ecosystem, and this technology can unlock both the financial resource and the operational efficiency associated with it.
Roy's absolutely right. It's right now we're at a stage where we need more adoption, right? So, and it's with more adoption that we're going to be able to finally transition from a world of proof of concepts to proof statements, where we can quantify these benefits, whether they're capital savings, cost savings, or additional new revenues, as they both highlighted in their report. So this is what we're, when you asked me earlier, that is exactly what we're trying to facilitate, right? Like getting more people on board, being able to prove all these hypotheses and turn them into reality. And that's why it's so exciting as we rush through the next couple of weeks before we go live, at least live on an unlimited basis. Yeah.
Nadine, speaking of.
Okay, so lots to digest there. Like I mentioned, considering the current market environment, listening to the gentleman first from the DTCC before we roll over and talk about what Nadine said. He specifically said that crypto is becoming important market infrastructure. He didn't say blockchain, he didn't say tokenization. He specifically said crypto is becoming important market infrastructure. He also mentioned that this adoption will take a while. And this video breakdown is literally from just, I think it was posted July 21st, 2026. So relatively fresh. And so if we're in 2026 and this dude from the BCG is still saying that this is all going to take a while, this gives us a reality check. And instead of being fearful in the current market environment, which we know in the current market environment, why risk assets are down, especially if you've been reading thoroughly through the fundamental reports, we know that the market sentiment for risk taking is relatively not there, right? Large institutions don't have legal and regulatory clarity that they need to participate aggressively in crypto. And then on top of that, the fundamental backdrop does not support aggressive risk taking for larger investors than the average retailer, right? Where most large investors are hedging against the risk off environment, investing in safe haven assets, cash, treasuries, so on and so forth, right? Or oil or whatever the heck, is hedging against depreciating risk assets right now in this current risk off environment. So two things that this gentleman said to unpack and think of in the current landscape. The third thing is the last thing that Nadine said is that the thing that happened in July was a limited environment. So they went live on Canton and Besu, those two blockchains in July. And she specifically mentioned that they went live on a limited basis, were her exact words. So I said here in this post, what happens when they aren't limited anymore? All right. And that leads us into the second video breakdown here that was posted from CoinDesk just 2 days ago. And we have Nadine here talking yet again. And listen to some of the things that she says, taking into consideration how she just mentioned that they went live on Canton and Besu in this limited environment. Listen to what she says here in these video breakdowns. So first thing she mentions is that demand is there and that they are getting ready for the next wave of institutional adoption.
An entitlement, easy to use. And that's what we were able to demonstrate yesterday.
Talk to me a little bit about if there is a gap between capability and demand. I've seen some comments from various different analysts and commentators this morning saying, this proves it can be done, but yet to prove if the demand is actually there. I'd love to hear your response to that.
We believe the demand is there. It's just like any new technology that you introduce, it's not going to be like, all right, everybody's going to push forward and get onboarded in day one. Like we've seen with every other technology in history, it takes a while. So onboarding will be gradual until.
Pause. Her saying that is now the second time, considering what the dude Roy said, that this is going to take time, that it's not going to be some overnight flash, get rich quick thing. It's going to be slow and steady. It's going to be gradual, but the demand is there. So again, I'm just trying to play some video clips to give everybody a reality check in this current market environment so that we don't have false expectations. Considering all the bullish moon boy hyping out stuff that exists out there, I try to keep you all very level-headed and focused on the now in this community, giving you guys a more realistic perspective from, these systemically important players.
The day comes where you no longer talk about tokens, right? They're the same. They're just a security. But what we saw with the work that we did yesterday is we actually had more demand than supply. So we were not able to get everybody involved. So we know right off the bat there are a lot of institutions really across the spectrum, from the buy side, sell side, hedge funds, asset owners that really want to get engaged. They understand the importance of tokenization and what it brings to simplify operations, make sure that capital is optimized. And we will see that the use cases for them were proved yesterday. The technology was proved, and now it's really just helping the industry get ready for this next wave.
More than 24 institutions, including JP Morgan, Goldman, BlackRock, participated in this. You mentioned there are even more that want to participate and that are going to onboard in the future. Just talk to me a little bit about how they're accepting and looking at the technology. Is there anything that would surprise us about the conversations that are happening behind the scenes?
No, they were really encouraging. I'll tell you, they were super patient because it requires a lot more change and adaptability on behalf of the client than it does at Dtcc. Don't forget, we went away, we worked on all of this, and then we came in and said, all right, who wants to come in and test this out with us? But then they had to, and it took us weeks and months to work with them to make sure that the wallet of their choice was attached to the blockchain of their choice, that they thought through use cases, not just to do tokenization, but use cases that proves the validity and importance of tokenization. They also had to integrate with their own operational environments, their own business plan, business models. They had to assess the impact on risk, legal compliance, all that good stuff. So it's not a matter of we just did a conversion for the sake of it. We wanted to make sure that these organizations were ready to do this, that they will be able to support the old and the new, because we all know nothing's gonna tokenize at the same time. And for a long period of time, we will, as well as our clients, will have to support the old and the new together. We were able to prove not just the technology, but the feasibility and usability and benefits of these tokens. And that, to me, was the most important part of yesterday.
Now, this.
Okay, I don't know if you all caught that, but she just said that they were able to prove with the test that they did in July, or the live production environment that they did in July, they were able to prove the viability of these tokens. She specifically said tokens, right? Listen.
Ran across.
Prove not just the technology, but the feasibility and usability and benefits of these tokens. And that, to me, was the most important part of yesterday.
Now,
right? So take into consideration what the dude from the BCG said about how crypto is becoming important infrastructure. She just confirmed that these tokens work, right? She said it's not just about the technology. The best part about the environment that they went live with is that the tokens work. And now listen to what she says here about using different blockchains and the blockchains that they chose to go live on. This part right here is probably one of the most bullish things that she says.
Yesterday, usability and benefits of these tokens. And that, to me, was the most important part of yesterday.
Now, this ran across 2 blockchains, Hyperledger Besu and Canton Network. What are your plans for the future? Are you just going to keep these 2? Are you going to build upon that?
We're definitely sticking to the 2 and adding to them. So we've announced Stellar that will come sometime in the first quarter or the first half of next year. We have also an inventory of a couple of other blockchains. We have also an inventory of a couple of other blockchains. We have been very public. I mean, Canton was our first partner right off the gate and committed to continue to work with them. But we believe this is a client choice on which blockchain they're going to transact on. And I think even with our clients, like our internal feedback from clients is they will probably operate on more than one chain. So that is why our strategy is to support a multi-chain setup that is wrapped with the same level of trust and resiliency that people expect from Dtcc. Jen, we have a very rigorous process behind the scenes that we look at to make sure that these chains are as safe and usable, and there's enough liquidity. They're decentralized enough for clients to be able to use them. But at the end of the day, this is a client choice. As long as it satisfies our own risk management capabilities, we will onboard them and make them available. But our job is really think of us as this institutional orchestrator that brings all this data together, that harmonizes it, and makes it really transparent to our client which chain they're using, as long as it satisfies whatever use case they're looking at that moment in time.
I think with
So those are the video clips that I have to play from Nadine. And I think that in regards to all the rhetoric that exists out there with all the speculation on the different blockchains that the DTCC is going to choose and pick, we now have verbal confirmation 110% that they have multiple different blockchains in their lineup that they have not announced yet. We don't know what those blockchains are. That's up for speculation, but we do know that right now it is Canton, Stellar, Besu. And I just think that that's super bullish for the space. Let's continue to stay level-headed. She gave very realistic perspectives. It was said multiple times that this is not going to happen overnight. This is not some get-rich-quick thing. It's going to be long, a drawn-out process, but the demand is there. The tokens work, and there is room for other blockchains to be announced in the future via a DTCC partnership. So again, I just wanted to bring all these video clips to everybody's attention. Shout out to the researchers for sharing these. That was the brief presentation that I wanted to go over today. I just had some clips that I had saw that I wanted to share with you guys. I'll leave the floor open for questions, conversation if you guys have anything, but if not, I'll let you all go for the rest of the day and we will head into the weekend.